Are you still there with us?
Yes, I am here.
Alhamdulillah, we are now going live on YouTube, and we have titled our today's session, The Why and How of Eid Salah in Lockdown with Mufti. I hope you are okay with that.
Sounds quite interesting.
Okay, Jazakallah.
Oh, Hussein's excited, mashallah.
Brilliant. So, yeah, if students have any questions in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for everyone else to come on board, then you may ask those questions. You can put them in the chat. And then, inshallah, within the next 4 or 5 minutes, we will be going live and we will be starting our session. We are live now, by the way.
Hussein, how have you been spending the last few days of Ramadan? What is the most spiritually uplifting act that you think you have done this Ramadan? We have Chutu kids, Chutu kids asking, are we going to be doing Eid Salah?
Very good question. Very good question. That's exactly what we are going to be talking about today. But are we going to be doing Eid Salah? That's a different matter altogether. And that's something you will find out, inshallah, by the end of today's lesson.
Insha'Allah ta'ala.
Right. So Mufti Hilal, Ustad Hussein, I think is responding to you. You might want to read out.
The most best thing I did this Ramadan was giving lots of charity to the poor. MashaAllah. Very good. We're going to have a little discussion about that today because we're going to be celebrating Eid somehow. But how do we think the poor will be celebrating Eid? How will the poor people be celebrating on a normal day? Eid slightly different this year. But how will poor people be celebrating Eid? Do they celebrate Eid? Do they have the luxuries that we do? So what can we do to make their Eid more of an Eid? Wa alaikum assalam, Sahra. Just open the YouTube.
Brilliant. So, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Students are coming in slowly but surely. And inshallah, we will be starting our session in the next 2 minutes. We thought we'll give some time to everyone to gather together because it's a very, very important session. We are going to be talking about Eid, which may be on Saturday or Sunday. I think there's news coming in already that some Muslims will be doing it on Sunday for now. Everything will be confirmed later on tonight, inshallah. And hopefully we can all do Eid together. If not, it's not a big deal. I think it's important to understand that we don't have to always agree on a matter as long as we are civil about it and we appreciate and respect each other about it. But anyway, so that's why today, inshallah, Mufti Hilal will be talking to us about many things. We're talking about zakat, we'll be talking to us about sadaqatul fitr. He will also be talking about Salatul Eid as well, and whether you can pray it at home or not, all the different opinions. And also, if you cannot pray Eid Salah at home, then what other prayer can we do at home and how? And again, the different opinions, because remember, our madrasa, we have students from various denominations, various schools of thought. So inshallah, we will give you what it is, and then it's down to you to follow whichever school that you follow, inshallah. And if you have any questions, so what we're doing today, we're not going to take too many questions midway. We're not going to take too many questions unless if Mufti Hilal or Ustad Hilal asks, do you have any questions? Then at that point we will take questions. Otherwise, we will leave the questions till the end, because there's quite a few things, important things to get through, and we don't want to be sidetracked, inshallah. I hope that's okay with everyone as well. So, Ustad Hilal, I think we are ready to start this now.
Inshallah. Let me get my slide ready. Okay, inshallah, everyone should be able to see this. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa la aqibatu lil muttaqeen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone.
Wa
Today
alaikum
we're going to
assalam.
be looking at Eid and celebrations around the world, but from a fiqh perspective, and how everyone's going to be celebrating together, maybe not together, or together. In many different ways you can take that statement, right? Together could be virtual together, it could be a Zoom Eid, could be a YouTube Eid. But anyway, a lot of people will be celebrating Eid around the world. And inshallah, we're going to look at some do's and don'ts of Eid, how to pray Eid Salah, if we're going to be praying Eid Salah, any other responsibilities that we may have surrounding this day. So a few introductory points before we get into it. This, I think, everyone should have at the front of their mind, not just when it comes to Eid Salah specifically, or Eid Day, but just generally, regarding our religion, regarding our view of the world and how we look at the world. So Islam is about submitting to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our aim as Muslims, so Islam, and we are Muslims, so we are the ones who submit to Allah. So what that means ultimately is, when we do something in this world, we do it not for us to feel good, not to do something how we want to do it, but ultimately our aim and our objective is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But even though we may think that something is good and beneficial, if that's not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to be, then that's something that we need to refrain from and we need to abstain from. And I've brought a few examples just to highlight this point. For example, can a person fast on Eid Day? What do you guys think? Can a person fast on Eid Day? So Eid Day is a very special day. Fasting is a very special act of worship. So why can't I fast on Eid Day? I want to show how devoted I am to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only will I fast the whole month of Ramadan, but I will also fast on Eid Day when everybody else is celebrating. Zahra said, the Prophet said, so case closed. What if I reopen the case and re-ask you the question? Why? Why can't we fast on Eid Day? Even if the Prophet said, why can't we fast on Eid Day? What is it behind our thought process that is stopping me from fasting on Eid Day? Because we need to celebrate. But what if I want to be more devoted and show how much I want to worship Allah? I want to fast on this day. It comes down to the first point, that by fasting on this day, even though I think, yes, well done, Hussein, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said you're not allowed. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said you're not allowed, like Zahra said. Okay, so even if I think it's an act of devotion and I think it's an act of worship and gaining closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's not the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do it, then it's not actually a means of getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, you'll actually be distancing yourself, because you need to live your life how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to live your life. So sometimes there may be certain things that we really want to do, certain acts of devotion that we feel that we must do, and if we don't do it, then we're not a proper Muslim. That's not necessarily the case. It's about how would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam want us to do something. So there's a few other examples that we can just quickly go through. Can I make 6 prayers obligatory instead of 5? So instead of saying I'm going to pray 5 a day, I'm going to now make it compulsory to pray 6. You can't do that, because that's not the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do it. He said 5. Can I fast throughout the night? So all day I'm going to fast, and then in Ramadan at night I'm going to fast as well. No, that's right. You're not going to fast, and you can't do that because it's not the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do it. Can I write letters to Allah instead of praying Salah? I think you came across this case previously, isn't it, Sheikh?
Yep.
Can I write letters to Allah? I'm not going to pray 5 times a day, but I get more closer to Allah by writing letters at night time. Where would you post them? That's a good question. I think you just store them in a box somewhere and wait till you pass away and then take them in your grave with you. So again, can a person do that if they feel more devoted that way? No, because the way to show your devotion is the way Allah wants you to show your devotion. And when we look at fiqh, because this will want to bring it all back to fiqh. Ultimately, what is fiqh doing? Trying to work out what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. Does he want us to fast during the day? Does he want us to fast at night? Does he want us to pray Eid Salah in the mosque, at home, or not? So there are going to be different groups of people and different scholars trying to work that out. So when it comes to differences of opinion, and we're going to see some differences of opinion today, what we have to remember after sifting through all the differences of opinion is the objective of every single scholar out there is we want to try and work out what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want us to do. That's it. Even if their opinions are different, and even if their opinions vary, the objective is still the same. That for that person, this is the most accurate and the most perfect way to carry out a certain act of worship. So that's what we want to try and achieve, and that's what we want to work towards. Now, the day of Eid. Why is the day of Eid? Sorry, I'm going to be doing a lot of speaking today, and then we're going to take the Q&As at the end. Yeah. Mufti, this is off topic. That's why we're going to take the Q&As at the end, inshallah, Zahra. But write it down and then we'll come back to it. Let's see, my foresight foretold your off-topic question. So you look like a floating head. Oh, maybe if I'm like that. There you go. Does that look more floaty to you now? I'm in a new location. Can you tell? I don't have my window today. Okay, what's so important about Eid Day? What's so important about Eid Salah? What's so important about this day? Why are we celebrating? Now, Zahra, you can answer that question. What are we celebrating about? Is it the fact that there's a lot of baking happening today? Okay, but why are you celebrating the end of Ramadan? You should be sad and grieved over the end of Ramadan. Asadullah said we fasted for a month. Zahra says we should ask Allah to accept our fast. Hussein says because we have fasted. And Fiza Ibrahim, oh, you've changed your name to Fiza Ibrahim, nice. End of Ramadan, that's right. What we learn about the day of Eid is really, really amazing. And that is, what do we rejoice over? What do we show happiness over? We show happiness over our achievements and how we have become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what we are rejoicing. We're rejoicing over the fact that I worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best that I could worship him. I read as much Quran as I could. I carried out as much dhikr as I could. I gave as much charity as I could. I fasted for as many days as I could. And I tried my best. That is something to be happy over, and that is something to celebrate. So when it comes to celebration, we celebrate our closeness to Allah. If we do something that displeases Allah, then we don't celebrate that. We have to cry and we have to turn to Allah and we have to ask him to forgive us. But when we do good things, then we celebrate. And it's a moment to be happy. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that said that for a fasting person, there's 2 moments of happiness. One is when the time comes to break the fast, and one is when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anything that is going to make that meeting with Allah a pleasant meeting, when you know he's going to be happy with you, inshallah, then that is something to rejoice over. So we've been doing good. We've tried our best throughout the month of Ramadan. So on Eid Day, we are going to celebrate, inshallah ta'ala, within limits and boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with us. So I've mentioned a few points here that our happiness comes from fulfilling duties, joy and rejoice. Also, Zahra, my floating head might be because I'm wearing white and my background is white. Joy and rejoice over achievements and gaining closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on Eid Day, when we celebrate, now remember, we worship and we worship and we worship and we worship. And now we're going to celebrate the fact that we worship. So we have to make sure that when we celebrate, we don't destroy what we just did. We became so close to Allah throughout the days of Ramadan. That on the day of Eid, we have to make sure we don't go back now. We've become a new person. We've become this much closer to Allah. We don't want to start taking steps backwards. Now, whatever progress we've made in our religion and our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to build on that from the day of Eid and beyond. So we need to make sure that we don't do anything on the day of Eid or after the day of Eid that puts water over all the hard work that we've done. And finally, on the day of Eid, we need to think about the poor people, because we may be able to buy new clothes, have nice food, have a lot of luxury and comfort, and on a usual day have a lot of family members around. But there are so many poor people around the world that won't have luxuries, that won't have food to eat like we do. They won't have nice clothes to wear on Eid day. So how do we think about them? And we're going to have a little slide about that, little discussion about the sadaqah and charity of Eid day. So let's quickly run through some things that we need to be doing on Eid day. So we need to increase recitation of Takbir. So whatever Eid day is, as soon as Eid day starts and from the night before, remember, when does a day start Islamically? After Maghrib. So the night before is that day. So if Eid day is tomorrow, for example, then from Maghrib to night, Eid starts. So we need to, who is the mustache guy? He is someone that PowerPoint has created. We need to recite Takbir. Does anyone know the Takbir that we're going to recite on Eid day? What is the Takbir that we're going to recite on Eid day?
If any of our students want to recite it, I can enable your mic and we can hear your wonderful voices.
I think that's a really good idea.
Please raise your hand if you would like to read the Takbirs for us.
Who's going to do the Takbir of Eid? Come on.
Okay, we've got the Chotu kids. Shall I? So the Chotu kids, I am going to enable your mic. Off you go when you are ready. Loud and clear. Chotu kids, you can say it. If not, don't worry. Just let me know if you're not interested in doing it.
I think Fiz and Ibrahim also
are willing to say it. So, okay, yeah. So Fiz Ibrahim, I have enabled your mic.
Is it Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illahu, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd.
MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. Let's give them all an Allahu Akbar. Let's give Fiz a Allahu Akbar from everyone
Allahu
here on Zoom. Allahu Akbar. That's right, well done. Oh, Zahra tapped up the whole thing. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd. So there's a lot of praise for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Eid. So remember, we celebrate the fact that we worshipped Allah, and we celebrate by worshipping Allah even more and glorifying Him and thanking Him for everything that we have been given. So we want to praise Allah as much as we can, and we recite as much takbir as we can. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Point number 2, before you go for Eid prayer, now we'll have a discussion about Eid prayer. Eating an odd number of dates, that's something the Prophet ﷺ would do. And I don't know why there's a turkey there. It's not Christmas, it's Eid. So there should be dates instead of a steaming turkey. So
maybe you've tried to differentiate between Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, because this turkey wouldn't be allowed on Eid al-Adha, would it? Because it wouldn't be one of the animals that we slaughter.
It would have been a bull or a cow. So remember, on Eid al-Fitr, remember, we've been fasting the entire month. So what we're going to do now, as soon as Eid day starts, we're going to show that today we're not fasting. So we're going to start our day by having something sweet, like dates. And in an odd number, because Inna Allah watrun yuhibbul watr. The Prophet subhanahu wa ta'ala likes odd numbers. Number 3, wearing the best gulab jamun. There we go, that can count. Make sure you have an odd number, right? So that means only one. So you have to wear the best clothes that you have. We want to celebrate, right? Have a nice shower, clean yourself up, clean behind those ears, get scrubbing. And finally, we're going to donate and make sure the poor also have something to celebrate. And we're going to try and donate before the day of Eid, so that money already reaches the poor people, so that on the day of Eid, they are able to celebrate just like we are also able to celebrate. Okay, let's get into the fun part now. Eid Salah. What are we going to do? To do or to not? What is it? What's the saying? To pray or to not to pray?
To pray or not to pray, that is the question.
Yeah, to pray or not to pray. So I'm going to summarize everything. I've probably received like dozens, if not hundreds of like PDFs from all over the world, and I think everybody has a say in this. So I've tried to summarize all of that into 3. Depending on where you come from and what your background is, you have one of these 3 options.
And Mufti Hilal, can I just add as well for parents and students who are listening, if for some reason you're taking notes, this PowerPoint will straight after the session, I will make it into a PDF and upload it onto our madrasa website. Okay, so go to the timetable, go to Friday, go to previous lessons with Fiqh with Mufti, and there you will find it under this video that's being recorded. So do not worry, this will be uploaded, and also another document's going to be uploaded, which another Ustad has written. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, so the first option number 1, is you do not need to pray Eid Salah on Eid day. Now that might sound like a very, very scary option, and that might sound like, how can we have an Eid day without an Eid prayer? Because an Eid day without an Eid prayer is not Eid. It's a bit like Zahra was saying, Eid day without Gulab Jamun is not an Eid day, right? Now the question is, how, regarding Eid Salah, okay, there are certain conditions that have to be met in order for you to pray Eid Salah. This is one way of looking at it. So some scholars, after having a look at the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and the various different sources, like we spoke before, we have that machine with all those different sources going in. Not source like ketchup and mayonnaise, we're talking about sources of Islamic knowledge, like the Quran and Hadith literature. We're putting that into the machine, and they process all of that information. And on the other side, they come up with certain conditions in order for Eid Salah to be valid. For example, you have to be at a certain location, you have to have a certain amount of people, it has to be open for other people to attend, etc. So this group of scholars, what they have said is, Eid Salah is something that needs to be prayed outside, it needs to be prayed in the open, it needs to be prayed maybe in the mosque, somewhere where it's open for people to attend and everybody is able to come and join the Eid congregation and Eid prayer. If you don't have that, then, and you're not able to perform the Eid prayer, then as a substitute, you're going to perform 4 rakats or even 2 rakats, optional prayer individually. And this comes from the narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, who was a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he mentioned that if a person is not able to perform the Eid prayer, then they should offer 4 rakats, optional prayer. So instead of an Eid prayer, so this is one way of looking at it, that there's no need for an Eid prayer at home. You don't have to perform an Eid prayer at home. And you don't have to be sad that you're not going to get the reward, because we know deep down that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. And had we have the option to go and perform Eid in an Eid prayer, or perform the Eid prayer in a congregation like we would normally, and unfortunately because of the circumstances we find ourselves in, we're not able to. We understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also is aware of that situation. And we would have prayed if we could, but because we can't, that's why we're not praying. So option number 1 is, and this is a group of scholars that have held this opinion, and a lot of scholars have also held this opinion. All 3 opinions have been a lot of scholars, that you do not need to pray Eid Salah. And you'll see a lot of these documents flying around as well, that you do not need to pray Eid Salah. And instead, individually at home, you can just offer 4 rakats or you can offer 2 rakats. You don't need to perform that in a congregation. It doesn't have to be performed together. Anywhere between sunrise and midday. So after the sun has risen, give it about 10-15 minutes till the sun's properly rise. Between then and midday, meaning before the time starts, you offer 2 rakats or you offer 4 rakats, and that will suffice you. And inshallah, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also reward everyone as though they had gone for the Eid prayer. So that's option number 1.
So Mufti Hilal,
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand this from the students' worldview. So what the students will find on the morning of Eid, that they wake up inshallah for Fajr, but this time they don't wake up so early that they have to do suhoor anymore. So there's no suhoor. They pray their Fajr. Remember Fajr, but sometimes we get so we become so fixated with Eid Salah, but then we forget our Fajr.
Oh, I've got a slide on that.
Oh, interesting. We'll wait for that there. So after Fajr, you wait till sunrise, okay? And then, as Mufti Hilal said, about 15-20 minutes after sunrise, anytime from then all the way till Dhuhr, you have that big, block. And what I'm kind of envisaging for students is where all the family gets together and individually everyone reads 4 rakats or even 2. but because it's Eid, let's stick with 4 rakats, individual nafil prayer, and then the intention will be nafil as well. So they are not going to do like a jama'ah with the imam in front and everyone behind. No, it's going to be individually 4 rakats of nafil prayer. Is that right, Mufti Hilal? Is that what the students should be thinking?
That is 100% correct. And I will, this may, because we're going to look at, if you are going to pray Eid Salah, certain conditions that are attached to it, in different schools. So a lot of houses may not fulfill those conditions. So this seems to be one of the most, I think, applicable across the board, because most households, no, every household can fulfill this option. I think every household will be able to fulfill this option. And if you're not going to pray the Eid Salah, then you're going to offer the 4 rakats optional prayer. So this everybody can do. When it comes to the Eid Salah, then there are going to be certain people that may be able to and certain people that won't. And I think this first option is also one of the most easiest, because with the Eid prayer, you may have to do a sermon. You may have different ways of praying the Eid Salah, for example, the addition of takbirs, etc. Whereas this is going to be just 4 rakats, just like you would pray any optional 4 rakats. No additional takbirs, no sermon before or after. It doesn't have to be in congregation. You just pray by yourself, and you're just trying to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allowed you to make it through the entire Ramadan. You know, there are so many people that passed away just before Ramadan started, and they weren't able to make it for this Ramadan. And alhamdulillah, we thank Allah that He allowed us to make it through the entire Ramadan, and we pray that He allows us to see many more Ramadans. So option number 1, a very practical, very easy, very simple option, which everybody can apply, and that is praying 4 rakats optional prayer in the morning, anytime between sunrise and midday before your Dhuhr Salah, and you can pray that at home. Okay. Now, option number 2. Option number 2 is, other scholars have said, what you can do is you can perform Eid Salah at home. And the next slide again will go on to the details of how to perform Eid Salah. So they say that if you fulfill the requirements and the conditions in order for Eid Salah to be valid, now this may vary depending on which school of fiqh that you are coming from. If you fulfill the requirements and conditions, then you can perform Eid Salah at home. So you perform the Eid Salah first, and then you follow that up with a khutbah and a sermon. And option number 3 is you perform the Eid Salah and you don't perform the sermon, you just perform the Eid Salah on its own. Now let's go into the detail of Eid Salah first, so that those that may be adopting that position know how to perform the Eid Salah. So we've got a skeleton here who's going to be praying Eid Salah. The reason why he's a skeleton is because he's been fasting for 29, 30 days, extremely hungry, and all of the meat and fat and extra juices which are normally on the body have totally disappeared. So we have a skeleton today. He is okay because he's performing Eid Salah. So inshallah, we pray he'll be fine. And after all the gulab jamuns and desserts that he has on Eid day, then I'm sure he will be back to his usual rump size. Okay, anyway. Eid Salah. So how do you perform Eid Salah? Where is his mouth? It's gone. No food, so no mouth. Okay. Eid Salah. Now, one of the conditions, and this is, I'm going to give you the condition from the Hanafi school because I am not a specialist in the other schools of fiqh, so I don't have a right to speak about them. I did try and have a little Google around and have a little search around, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to come to any a point which I think I'm totally satisfied where I can represent the other schools. I will explain from the Hanafi school of fiqh that in order for Eid Salah to be valid, you need to have 4 adult males as a minimum in that congregation. So you need to have 4 adults, meaning they're mature, and they are males as a minimum requirement. And then the more you have beyond that, the merrier. Well, maybe not if you're isolating. So the way you're going to perform the Eid Salah is you perform 2 rakats. It's like praying any 2 rakats. The only difference is, number 1, no adhan, no iqamah, like you would in a normal salah. That's how no adhan, no iqamah on Eid day. Remember that, right? On Eid Salah. Now, when it comes to praying the 2 rakats, when you start salah, how many times do you raise your hand and say takbir? On a normal day, on a normal 2 rakats. I want you to pray 2 rakats nafil. How many times I raise my hand and say takbir? You only say once. Good. So normally you raise your hand and you say takbir once. Okay. Now, what's going to happen on Eid day, on Eid Salah, is after you've said the takbir once, you're going to add another 3 extra. So you're going to say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, just like that. Okay, and each time you're going to raise your hand and you're going to drop them. Okay, so let's do that again. Your normal takbir that you do, where you raise your hand to your ears and you say Allahu Akbar and you start your salah. Okay, after that, you're now going to do another 3 additional takbirs. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So 3 more than you would normally. Okay, so the first one to start your salah and 3 additional bonuses that you have. Then you pray your salah as normal. You recite Surah Fatiha, you recite your surah, you go into ruku, do everything as normal. You stand up for your second rakat and you carry on the second rakat as normal as well. You pray Surah Fatiha, you pray a surah. Now, here, before you go into ruku, you add another 3 takbirs. Okay, before you go into ruku in the second rakat, you add 3 additional takbirs. So Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, 3 extra, and then 1 for going into ruku as normal. 1 for going to ruku as normal. So remember, the only difference with Eid Salah, it seems more complicated when you go through the full explanation. The only difference, you make an intention to pray Eid Salah with these additional takbirs. You start your Salah as normal, 1 takbir, and add 3 extra at the beginning. And then in your second rakat, before you go into ruku, you do 3 extra, and you do 1 more to go into ruku. So there's a total of how many takbirs? Good. I was just going to ask Zahra, how many additional takbirs are there? Tell me how many additional there are. 6. Good. So you'll be doing 3 extra in the first rakat when you start, and 3 in the second before you go into ruku. That's it. And then you continue your salah as normal. And then after you finish your salah, if you fulfill the requirement for Eid and you're praying Eid Salah, then somebody will go and give the khutbah, the sermon. And there's so many templates that are out there. There are so many really, really short ones. I think we can upload those as well, Sir Hamid. There's quite a few that have come around. Very short, concise, minimum requirement khutbah template, which I think even our students, inshallah, should be able to use if they're going to be reading. Okay, so that's the Eid Salah process. So remember, there were 3 methods, 3 approaches that we had. One is the no Eid Salah option, where you decide to just pray 4 rakats, optional prayer, and that you pray individually at home. Everybody can apply this and everybody can pray that 4 rakats based on Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. The second option is, if you fulfill the requirements and conditions, then Eid Salah with a sermon. And the third option, which was also established through a hadith, is to perform the Eid Salah without a sermon. Now, this is the point that Ustad Hamid mentioned, which I think is crucial, extremely, extremely important, as we have passed through Ramadan, and our mindset should now be reformed, and we should be very new, different Muslims to how we were before we came into Ramadan. We should be a lot more enlightened and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Eid prayer itself, according to the Hanafis, is wajib, and according to others is sunnah, which is actually a level lower than wajib. According to the Hanafis is wajib, and according to other schools is sunnah, 1 level lower. What about the other 5 salah during the day? What rank do they hold? What do you guys think? What rank do the other 5 prayers hold? Are they sunnah? Are they optional? They're fard. They're compulsory. Exactly. Now, sometimes this is why I had that introduction at the beginning, that we want to follow our religion and live our life how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to, not how we feel we want it to be. Now, sometimes certain moments of celebration become very important to us. Like Eid Day becomes extremely important, that nobody will miss Eid Salah. Eid Salah is the most important thing out there. Whereas in reality, our 5 daily Salah hold just as much, and I've written, if not more importance than the prayer of Eid. The reason it seems more important and more special. However, the 5 daily Salah, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, have much more important. And our responsibility as Muslims is to ensure that we give that as much focus and attention as we can. So imagine somebody who didn't pray Fajr on Eid day, but they made an effort to perform Eid Salah. So they've left the most important thing for them to do and gone to the next most important thing, which doesn't make sense. Our 5 daily Salah are the most important thing that we need to work towards. So remember, our objective is to do that which is going to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not what we feel is going to please us and give us full satisfaction. Okay, Sadqatul Fitr. I'm going to have a quick discussion about Sadqatul Fitr, and then we will be open for Q&As, inshallah. Now, Sadqatul Fitr, we give charity a lot through the month of Ramadan, but there's one obligatory charity that you must give in Ramadan. Now, zakat is separate. We're not talking about zakat at the moment. Zakat is a obligatory charity which you have to give once in the year, and that is a zakat and purification of your wealth in general. Then you have the Sadqatul Fitr, which is the charity of Eid day. Now, this charity donation must be given before the Eid prayer, before Eid day. But so basically, we're running out of time if you've not given it. Everyone needs to make sure that they try and pay off this as quickly as possible. Oh, what is an asset? Asset is what you own and what belongs to you. So who has to pay Sadqatul Fitr? So anyone who has personal belongings, which are altogether add up to the value of £270 roughly. So whether you've got that much in cash, whether you've got that much gold or silver, if you're extremely wealthy, or you've got things at home which add up to this price, which I think will be a lot of people. Now, there are obviously discussions that you minus your necessary assets, your house and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's going to get into a bit too technical at the moment. And we have a presentation which Ustad Hamid is going to leave details and a link for, inshallah, and you can look at more details there. Roughly, if you have this much amount of assets, then it's obligatory upon you to pay Sadqatul Fitr. So, for example, if I have that much cash, I have to pay that much. I have to pay Sadqatul Fitr. If my wife has that much cash, she has to pay. If my parents have that much cash, they have to pay. Now, the only thing to remember is if a child is not mature, then it becomes the parent's responsibility to pay on behalf of that child. If someone is mature and they pass the age of maturity, then if they have the wealth, they have to pay, otherwise they don't. But if you're a child, then the responsibility is on the parents. So for example, if someone has 3 daughters under the age of maturity, then the parents are responsible for taking out and paying on behalf of their children. And how much is it? It's a very, very, very small amount. And I put here, because it's going to vary, some people work it out to about £2, £2.50, £3, £4, very less. Just consult your local masjid will normally on their website have the amount based on their calculation. It's around £2 to £3. It's not an extreme amount. But remember, there are different ways. So the Prophet ﷺ gave different ways that the charity can be given. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was speaking not in cash; he was speaking in terms of giving food. So you could give a certain amount of wheat or barley or dates. Now, if you do the calculation according to dates, it's a lot more. And I think £3 everyone can give. And I think for the day of Eid, we should try and give as much as we can, because ultimately that's going to go to poor people and it's going to go to people who may not be able to celebrate Eid like we do, because they're not as fortunate and as lucky as we are. So we should try and give as much as we can, so that on the day of Eid, they're given a lot more, so they can also celebrate and enjoy the day of Eid. So that's me done. SubhanAllah.
Mufti here? Yeah.
Oh, we have someone intruding. Who is that?
It was Fizza. Can I ask a quick question?
If it's a quick question, yes.
Me and my brother are raising money for charity, and we were going to do one orphan for a year, but mashallah, we surpassed that overnight.
Allah.
And we went to 2 orphans, then we surpassed that price, and we went to 3 orphans, then we surpassed that price, and now we're trying to do 4 orphans for a year. Would that count as your Sadqa al-Fitr, or would that not count?
That's a very good question. Now, you're collecting money from people, right? To pay towards an orphan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah. So you're ultimately collecting from all these different people. Now, they've given you money for an orphan, right? They've given you money to fund that orphan. That's going to be slightly different to your sadaqatul fitr, because your sadaqatul fitr is a certain amount which I individually give to a poor person. For example, everyone might be collectively collecting different amounts. So I might give you £1 as a donation. Ustad Hamid might give you £50. Now, if he didn't intend for that sadaqatul fitr when he was making that, when he was giving that money, then that's not going to be his sadaqatul fitr, because he just intended to help an orphan, just generally out of optional charity. But if somebody was to actively intend that, look, I am giving certain amount of money to you as my sadaqatul fitr, and is that sadaqatul fitr going to go to an actual poor person? Then that would be valid, and that would be the sadaqatul fitr done. But I would assume that a lot of people may not have made the intention at that time when they were giving it to you. They may have just been like, oh, very good project, let me give the money towards this charitable
And
orphan.
Mufti Hilal, just to add to that, isn't it also the case that then in that case, Fiza and Ibrahim have to ensure that that money reaches the orphans for Eid day, isn't it?
Yeah. So sadaqatul fitr should be paid before the day of Eid, before the Eid Salah, actually. If it didn't, it still has to be paid, but now you've gone past, and you've gone past the deadline. So you rely on an extension, but then now you need to be even quicker in paying it off. So the deadline is usually Eid Salah, so you need to pay it before Eid Salah. Whereas other general donations, they can be given at any time. Hope that answers your question, Fiza.
Jazakallah khairan, Ustad.
Barakallah feek.
Okay, we've got some questions on. So what we discussed. I'm going to discuss something along these lines as well, but we will do a very basic summary for parents and students who are joining us now as well. Okay, I'm going to answer some of the serious questions. So Mufti Hilal, yeah, and this is something that I wanted to talk about. Make it very, very clear. So Zahra asked a question. What is the alternative if you don't have 4 males? Now, see, this is where you begin to value males, right, in our society. So Zahra,
Wow.
if you unfortunately don't have 4 males, so remember what Mufti Hilal mentioned, the main condition is that you have 4 males who are adults. So if you have maybe 3 brothers who are children, who are very small, they are not included in that condition. It has to be 4 adult males. If you have those 4, only then you can pray Eid Salah at home. Only then you can pray Eid Salah at home. Most likely that will be the case for most of the people, because not most of the homes that we find today have 4 males. Okay, so the alternative then, which Mufti Hilal explained, was the first alternative, where you do not pray Eid Salah, but you pray 4 rakats of Nafil Salah. So you pray 4 rakats of Nafil Salah individually, not behind an Imam. So not behind an Imam. I hope I have clarified that as clear as possible. Yes, and remember, we are talking under the framework of the Hanafi school of thought. Okay, and that's because that's what Mufti Hilal has researched, and that's what our basic lessons have been around. And I think from my estimation, most of our students are from the Hanafi school of thought. If you're not, you can still take from the school of thought, unless you ask your scholars. But other than that, you can take from this as well. So Zahra, I hope that answers the question. Next question, Mufti Hilal, is, I have a question. Can you enable my mic? Zahra.
No, I think that was that before, or was that no?
I think that was before, yes. Zahra saying, I have a PowerPoint uploaded on the FEP website. Could we possibly share it? Yeah, if you remind me later on, we can try and upload it to this, but we'll have to have a look because it's going to be shared with everyone. We need to check the authenticity and things like that. Zahra's mentioning, my brothers are 17 and are twins. Oh, interesting. Now, do they both count as one, or are they 2 separate individuals here? So there's, Masha's got 2, you've got 2 twins and your dad, so you've got 3. So again, that's a good example, actually. So in your house, Zahra, I'm guessing it's you as the daughter, your mother, your father, that's 1 male, your first twin brother, that's 2 males, and then your second twin brother, that's 3 males. Now, because you couldn't get the 4th male, therefore, you, in your house, based on the Hanafi school of thought, you will read 4 rakats of Nafil Salah. And that's based on the hadith narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. Isn't that right, Mufti Hilal?
Can they bring a 4th male online?
Oh, interesting. Could you do that, Zahra? Are we allowed to do that, Mufti Hilal? Could you
I thought we addressed that last time.
Oh,
With
interesting.
the Taraweeh.
So I
We
don't
need
know.
physical human beings, yeah.
Yes.
That
absolutely.
move and breathe and do other things in real life.
Ustad, what if those males, what if they can be like robots?
Then how do you know they are male?
Because they're programmed to be a male?
I don't think that passes, unfortunately. I don't think a robot will suffice. Do you have a robot, by the way? I know it's not Hamid.
No, I was just asking. And also, I haven't got 4 males. I've only got 2 males in the house, like my dad. But you said on the slide it said adult male. Would Ibrahim count as a male then eligible, or would it wouldn't count because he's not an adult?
Not an adult, unfortunately. You need, as Ustad Hamid said, 4 adult and males with the emphasis on all 3 parts. The 4, emphasis on the adult and emphasis on the males.
And Mufti Hilal, I think the worst part is Ibrahim doesn't even count as half. Right? So if you had 2 children, 2 brothers, you can't say one's half and the other's half and they equal 1 adult.
Together.
Yeah, you can't do that as well, unfortunately.
Then you need to get 4 of Ibrahims. We need to get 4 Ibrahims.
That will only make 1 adult.
Ah, okay.
So we've got
Where
a question.
did you learn math? Oh, sorry, go. Yep.
Oh, there's a question from Zahra. Okay. Oh, I like Hussein's logic here. He's saying they have to be created by Allah, as in the individuals praying.
The robots.
Yes, as in whoever's praying. The condition that Hussein is, so if he was a faqih in this day and age writing a new book of fiqh, he would have added, it has to be a creation of Allah. The human has to be creation of Allah, cannot be artificial. Okay, Zahra's asking, so we could have a cat male.
Male cat.
So because we didn't add a human, did we, Sheikh, as a condition?
We're going to have to add to this. Male, we have to add a 5th. Where's the 5th one now?
Yes.
Human, male, no, 4 human adult males.
Yes. Let's see how far we can get with that, Sheikh.
That do not work on batteries.
What about a plant?
No, that we've already said human. That doesn't include plants. Ustad, what will you do is okay. So there's a question, Ustad. What will you do is if your male cat, you only have one. No, I think we've mentioned that. We've mentioned that one.
Remember, if you don't hit those, you pray the optional prayer.
Yep.
Which is going to be most people. Yep.
And I think Mufti Hilal, keeping this in mind, I think that option is the most easiest for us, and it's also from the Sunnah, right? And from narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, a great Sahabi as well. And it's the easiest because it's easy because number one, you don't need to worry about any khutbah. Okay. Number two, you don't need to worry about learning and getting wrong the different the takbirs in each rakah. Where do the first 3 takbirs go? Where do the second rakahs takbir go? You don't have to worry about all of that. You can then just focus on the 4 rakats, nafil, salah, easy.
And I think these substitutes are there for times like this.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's where they're meant to be used when you're not able to do the default.
We have a question on YouTube from Ustada Zanib Yaqub. Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. Parent Maliha Khan is requesting if Fiza can let parents know how to donate to her cause. So Fiza, if you can kindly put if you can either on YouTube put a link to the donating page, or on Zoom, I can then share that around for parents if they want to donate to the cause. Okay.
Okay.
Jazakallah. Okay. Okay. I think Zahra might still want us to share her mic. Let's see what Zahra has to say in person. Zahra, your mic is now shared.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
This was my thought before you said like human. So I was like, if there was like a mirror and the mirror was reflecting the male's reflection, that would be not possible.
You'd have to be in one of those, what's it, House of Mirrors.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Mirror reflects. It's got even more confused. The mirror reflection won't be good enough. I'm sorry. I don't consider that to be a physical human being standing. Should we put it this way? We need to have 8 physical legs standing.
What if I put it on top of a chair?
Human, adult, male, physical legs, and breathing, seeing, speaking, and the rest of it.
I'm sure I'm gonna think of something that.
What
comes
about
to
a
those
speaking
conditions.
car?
If you consider that a human being, then I think we have issues.
What about those cars that are
Okay.
automatic?
So what we need to
and
do,
they-
boys and girls, let's ask some questions which are going to be meaningful for all of us in the sense. So we've got down to the fact that it's got to be a human being. Okay. Now, if we look at that in every case, we know what a human being is. All right. It's what's the other scientific word for a human being? Homo sapiens sapien. Okay, that's what it is. Right. So that's what needs to be there for those salah. Oh, Jazakallah, I said well done for that as well. So Homo sapiens sapiens, that's what we are. Jazakallah for sharing the link, Fiza. I'll share that out as well to parents on YouTube. So back to you, Mufti. So any more questions? So I'm looking at YouTube as well. If anyone has any questions, please put them down. Remember, we are talking about Eid Salah. We will just wait another minute or two. If you have any further questions, please ask us now before we just end with what to do on Eid and what not to do on Eid. Okay, so I'll give another minute or two to write down further questions whilst I share the link to Fiza and Ibrahim's donation page.
I think we should also remember that we're running out of time with Ramadan. So Ramadan's only got a few hours or moments left. So everyone should make the most of whatever is left. Even if it's a day or 2 days or half a day or a few hours, wherever you are in the world, it's very, very less compared to what we had at the start of Ramadan. So we need to make sure that we make the most of it. Ramadan's still going on. Ramadan hasn't ended yet. It's not Eid just yet. So we still need to pray as much as we can. We still need to read as much Quran as we can. And we need to, Friday, send as much salutations to the Prophet ﷺ as much as we can, and pray for the entire Muslim community. We should pray for the safety of sacred Islamic places like in Mecca and Medina. We should pray for the safety and security of places like Masjid al-Aqsa. And we should pray for all the Muslims around the world, whether they are related to us, not related to us, whether we know who they are, we don't know who they are, wherever they may be. So there's a lot of people that require du'as and need a lot of help. So it's time for us to also, as much as we make dua for ourselves in Ramadan, we should make dua for the entire Muslim community, even those that have passed away. You can even make dua for people that have passed away. So we should try and remember as much of the ummah as we can. We should always be thinking about the entire Muslim community.
That's very important, and especially those who have passed away. So it could be grandparents, uncles, aunties, parents. If we haven't remembered them, we still have some time left of Ramadan to do that. Iftar time is a good time when we're breaking our fast to do du'as just before that point, not to forget. So remember that as well, inshallah. I'm so annoyed because of lockdown because I have never been to the mosque to pray Eid Salah and I was supposed to go last year. That's not a problem at all. Remember, when it comes to Islam, we don't need to, let the emotions get the better of us. Islam is a faith which is very basic, which is very simple. It gives us step by step of what to do. If you can't do this, what's the next step? Islam gives us all of that, just in this case as well with Eid Salah. Okay, so Hussein is asking, when is this session ending? In the next 5 or 10 minutes, Hussein. Okay. Right. So I think, Mufti Hilal, let's, is there anything else you would like to summarize,
No,
Mufti
I
Hilal?
think from my side, inshallah, everything's done. Just everyone have a good end to your Ramadan and have a good Eid day, inshallah. And also remember me in your du'as. When you have this long list of du'as that you make for people, just add me to the bottom as well if you can. And Ustad Hamid, of course.
Inshallah. And whilst you're here with us, Mufti Hilal, we'd like you to stay with us till the end.
Yep.
If I can request, when you are saving this PowerPoint and sending it to me via email, if you can add, that poster I sent on how to pray Eid Salah, in case anyone does have 4 male adults in the house, if you can add that as pictures. And secondly, where you mentioned about the zakat and also sadaqah, if you can put the poster of your lecture and the link to your lecture, if it's all in one place, it'll be easier for students to navigate. Please do make sure that you go on our website and download this. You can watch this video again, and you'll be able to download those PowerPoints, which has everything you need to know in regards to Eid Salah. Okay, and just in terms of summary for those who have joined us midway, in order to do Eid Salah at home, and we're going under the rubric of the Hanafi fiqh, you need at least 4 male adults, human beings. That's an extra additional we added on. If you do not have that, not to worry, there is an alternative, and that is to read after about 15-20 minutes after sunrise up until Dhuhr prayer, any time between that, fix the time where all of you get together, and after that you read 4 rakats of Nafil Salah, just as you would read any of the Nafil rakats. And I think majority of Muslims will most likely not have 4 adult males in the house. Okay, sorry about the people outside. Can you hear that noise, Mufti Hilal?
Yeah, what is that?
That's someone on a motorbike, I think, which is quite unfortunate. Noise pollution. But anyway, one thing I wanted to mention. Is it really loud that you can't hear me as well, or
No, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, that's fine. It's actually so loud I am getting disturbed by it. But anyway, coming to the point that. And I wanted to mention this right at the end. To meet or not to meet your family this Eid, that is the question. And it's important to understand that, scientifically and Islamically as well, that, we're living in the UK. The UK is the worst hit country in terms of the number of deaths in entire Europe. We are number 2 when it comes to the entire world. And if you look at it in terms of per million, I think we are number 1 when it comes to deaths. So it's not like it's finished. Okay, we've done really well up until now. Well, what we can consider well, right? We've had so many people who passed away, so many of our elders who passed away. There's someone I know on Facebook. She was mentioning that 7 of her direct family members passed away in just the past 2 months as a result of the coronavirus. Okay, so it's not a joke, it's not a hoax, it's not a propaganda. I mean, there might be certain things up and down, and if you think it's a propaganda, if you think that it's a hoax or whatever else you want to call it, we mentioned this before, there's 2 options in front of you, right? Either you're going to go and visit other family members inside their homes, or you're not going to do that. And there's 2 conclusions out of both. Number 1 is either you're going to risk your family and your children and yourself, or the other option is you're not going to put your children at risk. So every parent, every adult needs to think about, every human needs to think about, which one of those people am I? Which option am I going to take? Am I going to put my children at risk just because my emotions are getting the better of me, just because I cannot control my emotions of not meeting my family, or will I protect my children and not put them at risk? This, for me, I think is an important question that everyone needs to ask. I wanted to go through very quickly some basic questions and straightforward answers. And I was going to go over the long version, but what I'll do, I'll go through the short version, which one of our teachers who works with us very well, a lot of people know him. His name is Ustad Muhyiddin. He's put together the fiqh of Eid Salah under lockdown. And I will share this document Also, next to Mufti Hilal's resource as well, please have a read through. I'm just going to go through a very brief version of it rather than reading in detail, because if you're thinking about maybe going to a park and reading Eid, I think you should think again. If you're thinking about meeting your relatives, and we've spoken about, I've emphasized this every single day for the past 3-4 days. If you're thinking about that, just remember, you either put your children at risk or you do not put them at risk. Which option are you going to take? So a quick version of this, which will take about 2 minutes. Please do download it, read the longer version from Ustad Muhyiddin. I've read this document and I really think it's a fantastic document which Ustad put together, and it's very important for us to reflect over. So question number one is this a major religious issue I need to be worried about and anxious about? And we're talking about Eid Salah. Is it such an important issue that I need to become anxious about? Answer is no. Greater priorities are giving fitrah and making most of the remainder of Ramadan. And this is something that Mufti Hilal very well put forward to us, that sadaqatul fitr, very important. Many of us probably didn't even know that we had to pay this every Eid, and we've got to do it before Eid so that the money reaches the poor. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing, can I pray Eid Salah in the masjid? So the categorical answer is no. Masjids are still closed. Okay. Question number 3 is, do I need to pray at home? No, it is not necessary. So remember, the alternatives we were talking about today, even those alternatives, they are not necessary. But most of us would want to do something, therefore we will pray 4 rakats. Or if you have 4 adult males, then we'll go towards Eid Salah and you'll get the method for that. Question number 4, almost done. Is it permissible for me to pray at home alone or with members of my household? Now, simple answer, which we discussed in detail today, depends on which school or scholars you follow. Most schools say yes, whether alone or with family. The Hanafi school says you must have at least 4 adult males. Number 5, is it better for me to pray Eid Salah at home or not pray it at all? There's no definitive answer. Both historically and in our time, scholars have different perspectives and opinions on this. And basically, this question, we answered that today during our entire session. So if you joined us later on, do rewind this session and you can look for that. Would I need to deliver a khutbah and how would I pray? As we said, see the long version of this document that I'm reading out. And we've answered that no, you do not. There's 2 options, as Mufti Hilal said. One is yes, one is no, you don't. Either way, it's fine. Number 7 is, what do you personally recommend I do? So this is Ustad Muhyiddin's answer. He says, I'm planning to pray generic nafil prayers instead of Eid Salah, and you are welcome to do as I do, but I have no problem with those who follow other schools. My general advice applies here too, and that it is to follow whoever you trust most from the scholars you have access to. Very important. Remember, today what we discussed was in the framework of the Hanafi school of thought. If you decide to follow any other school and they allow less than 4 males, that's entirely up to you, and that is your right to follow those schools. Nothing wrong with that. Me personally, as Ustad Hamid, I will be doing the 4 rakats nafil because I'm the only male in the house, and we have like 5, we have about 6 females. So it's not going to work with me. So we're going to do 4 rakats of nafil. And the last question is, should I pray with a group of friends or relatives from other households, indoors or outdoors somewhere? Now, this is crucial, very important question. And the answer is no. The answer is no. You should not go to someone else. You shouldn't say, okay, you know what, we've got 3 males. Let's get a 4th male from, so-and-so who lives on the other street, or one of our cousins, and let's do it together. No. Okay, that is not permissible. And when we're talking about permissibility, a very interesting point Ustad Muhyiddin mentioned, that he's looked everywhere. Okay, the experts. Now, there's 2 types of experts in this context. Okay, because it's to do with salah and this is to do with your health, you need the ulama and you need the scientists or the medical experts. If you look, the medical experts saying lockdown, stay in lockdown, only read with the people in your household. Okay, and not only that, we have ulama who are also medical experts. They too are saying no, you read at home. So we have, remember, just medical experts are saying no, it's bad for your health. Okay, check it anywhere. Number 2, because you're putting yourself at risk. Okay, number 2, we have ulama who are also doctors. They are saying No. And Mufti Ustad Muhyiddin has given links to some of those videos on this document as well. You can click and find out. And last but not least, the Muftis. There is no Mufti who is saying get together in a house to pray together. No. Okay, you go for the alternative, which, like we mentioned, it's either the 4 rakats or the Eid Salah if you meet the conditions based on whichever school you are following. So I will also put this document online as well. I hope that has been beneficial. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Ustad Hilal for doing this for us every single Fridays. It is time consuming, it's tiring as well. I get tired when I participate in about 2-3 Zoom sessions, but then to be able to prepare that session, to think about that, and especially topics like this, because who would have known that 3 months ago, we would be talking about Eid Salah in your house. Remember, Allah is the greatest and Allah is the best of planners, and there is nothing that can stop Allah. When Allah decides something, there is no power on earth that can change that decision. And this is from Allah. And you know, one thing that came up, that, you know, it's important for us to think about. Mosques have closed, and the type of test this is from Allah. If had Allah wanted, He could have sent a test that would have sent all of us running to the mosques. Had Allah wanted, He would have sent a test where all of us run towards the mosque. But the test that came from Allah was, we are now stopped from entering the masjids. This is a point for us to reflect. Okay, what are we doing in the masajid? What are we doing? Is it like an elite club that people go to the mosque and a certain number of people are always going, a small group of people? Because remember, you know, we may go to certain mosques and say, oh, there's 3 lines of prayers, there's 5, 6 lines, 7, 8 lines. But you've got to remember, let's not look at how many people came to the masjid. And I remember one of our elders, his name was Haji Abdul Wahab, rahimahullah, he's passed away last year. He used to say, when you go to a mosque, right, you don't see how many people have come to the mosque, rather think about how many have not come to the mosque. And surely that number is way, way larger. And that's what we need to think about. Are we becoming a means for other people to stop coming to the mosque? Have we welcomed people to the mosque in the best of forms and ways and manners? Have we made our masjids welcoming and inviting places and loving and caring places? Or are they like an elite club or a gentleman's club? Right? It should not be the case. And also, we need to do istighfar collectively on what we are doing with our masjids, and we need to rethink, and we need to go back to, we need to go back and reflect over this. That our masajid, are they open for everyone? Right? Do the children feel welcome coming? Do the elderly feel welcome? Do people from all schools of thought feel welcome coming? Do people from all countries and nationalities feel welcome coming? Right? Do even non-Muslims feel welcome coming? Because in the masjid of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everyone was welcome, everyone was there. Okay, so we will stop there, inshallah. Is there anything else from the students or Mufti Hilal? Otherwise, we will stop it there. But please do download Mufti Hilal's PowerPoint, anything else that's there. Also, for parents who need to find out more about zakat, a very important topic. Remember, it's one of the pillars of Islam. If we haven't studied it much, it's very easy. There's a question that's come from Ustada Fawzia, and that is, can women read Eid namaz individually? Right? So Ustada Fawzia, I would recommend that you rewind this recording and watch it from the beginning, because we spoke about this quite a lot. But just to very briefly answer your question, in order to do Eid prayer, you need to have at least 4 males. Right? Now, knowing your family, you have 2 males and 1 little boy. That does not count. So based on the Hanafi school of thought, your household will have to read 4 rakats of nafil prayer, which everyone and anyone can read, whether they're male or female or whatever.
Optional.
Sorry?
Optional, not have to.
It's
optional. Yeah.
Absolutely. And those 4 rakats, they are optional. Okay, they are optional. Not to worry if you missed it, that's absolutely fine. You can rewind later on, but I have also answered the question there very briefly from Mufti Hilal's session. And also the PowerPoint will be available. You can get in touch with us later on to ask me for the link for this as well. And hello, Yellow Moss, you're there as well. Anything else, Mufti? there's any more questions from anyone, any last minute questions? Let me just check if there's anything here. No, it's mostly jazakallah. What if you own a mosque? Now, can I just mention one thing on this, Mufti Hilal? Right. Unfortunately, there's, and I'm not going to give too many details on this. I'm going to give too many details, but just briefly. And what the sad thing is, there are some mosques out there which are saying, okay, we are going to have small numbers of jamaat. So, you know, like just to populate the mosques, some people do get together to go to the mosque, right? And what's happening is certain places, unfortunately, they're saying that only if you are fully paying member will you be allowed will you be allowed to attend some of the small jamaat. So again, you know, this thing that I was talking about, that is becoming like, and then the worst thing was that they also put down the mission statement of their mosque right underneath that claim that, look, you will only be allowed to attend those social distancing prayers once lockdown finishes, etc. That that only those people, not everyone will be allowed, only those people who are fully paying members of the mosque. Now that's interesting, because I firstly didn't know that there were fully paying members that existed in mosques at Mufti Hilal. I don't know if you knew about this, but what I wanted to just bring up was they've mentioned that, and then very proudly they mentioned the mission statement, which talks about to be the spiritual and cultural heart of the community.
Paying community.
Of the community, and promoting Islamic values at work, in the family, between ourselves and the people of United Kingdom. So may Allah give us the ability to understand our own mission statements, and may Allah give us the ability to act upon them. May Allah protect us. I mean, it's actually a big test. It's a very big test that, you know, and it's a test for us as well, that maybe I'm saying this, I don't want to find myself in a position like this. And we need to ask Allah for forgiveness in these matters, but we won't dwell on that too long. Anything else? Who is Bogo? I don't know, Hussein? Oh, Bojo, okay.
Ustad Hamid, you know when you said a fully paying member, did you mean like people who attend the mosque frequently and they're there to help out, or I don't really get that.
Some mosques have a membership. So if you're a fully paying member, you get certain discounts in certain parts of the mosque. So for example, if you pass away, I think you get a discount in dying. They may take care of half your funeral costs or something like that.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. We've been to one. I'll tell you off air which mosque it was. We went to one as well.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know stuff like that happened, but
I think they have like a paid membership. So if you're a paying member, then you get certain perks in the masjid.
Oh no,
the services.
Because my uncle is in the Queen's Road Mosque, and because like he helps out a lot at the mosque, he's allowed to like go when they do the adhan from the roof. He's allowed to do that stuff, but he doesn't pay, I don't think.
Even without being a paid member, he gets all those perks.
Yeah, it's because he helps out a lot. Like he does, like before this lockdown, he'd do charity work and stuff like that.
Are you trying to get your uncle famous?
No, I was just asking because I didn't really understand what Ustad Hamid meant by full paying member.
Yes. So yeah, no, I mean, you might want to ask your uncle, is he a fully paid member? I don't think that kind of stuff happens in Queen's Road Mosque. Well, I hope it doesn't. I don't think it does. Otherwise, your uncle wouldn't be in the mosque, right? Unless if he was a paying member. But the most important thing to remember is, coming back to the main point, that our masjid should be for everyone. Okay, everyone donates to the masjid, regardless if we donate or not. You know, the masjids belong to Allah ultimately, and all of Allah's creations are allowed. Okay, so that's the key thing to remember. So the reason what I'm saying is some people have made these rules in their mosques, and these are things we as the future, or you children as the future of Islam in Britain, need to change and need to work on and need to talk about and need to discuss, inshallah. And most importantly, tomorrow, do not go into someone else's house, do not meet your relatives, do not hug them. That's key for now. Let's remember that for now. And in regards to the whole Eid Salah, pray your 4 rakats. If you've got 4 males, then you can do your Eid Salah, and we will upload the documents for that. Should we stop our session there? Because these sessions have the potential to keep on going for very, very long.
So, Ustad,
Yes.
so if I snuck into a mosque, I wouldn't be trespassing because it belongs to Allah.
That's a very, very complex question, because it all depends on which mosque you're talking about. Unfortunately, that's the unfortunate case. It depends on which mosque you're talking about. I was told by a sister, not my sister, but a sister, that she went to a mosque in central London somewhere. As soon as she opened the door, it said, "No women allowed." Okay, now this is unfortunate, because nowhere does Islam promote that or say that. The only thing is, do mosques have facilities to enable that each gender feels comfortable in their own space, right? Does every mosque have that facility? That's what the question should be. It shouldn't be an outright no women welcome and no so-and-so welcome. So that's one thing that we need to, so basically, you will not be trespassing based on Islam, because mosques belong to Allah. But it also depends on every particular context, on why have you done that, what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, it's based around that. But any question related to Eid Salah or Eid or the next few days, because there's no way you're going into a mosque. At the moment, if you try and jump into a mosque, then it's actually illegal, right? Because by law, you're not allowed to go into a mosque unless you're one of the few people who are going in for the upkeep, just like Fizza's uncle is one of the members who was chosen to go there, spend time in the mosque for the upkeep of the mosque, to allow it to continue. The prayers, the congregational prayers, are not allowed, but the upkeep of the mosque is fine. Yes, one very last point, which Zahra has just mentioned, and we will stop here, inshallah. Mufti Hilal, are you looking at the time?
No, I just received a ping on my mess phone.
Okay, interesting. Right, so Zahra is mentioning that, and it's important, if we go out, if we decide to go all out in shopping or all out on the beaches, as a lot of people are doing, even though they are not Muslim and they're not celebrating Eid, and the government hasn't put their foot down on them, which we're keeping an eye out on, why they haven't done that. But what we don't want is for Muslims to go out dressed as, in our Eid celebratory garb, as we do, and then who comes along? Journalists come along and they start taking pictures, or people who are somewhat Islamophobic, they take pictures and they start pasting it on Facebook and social media and saying, look, Muslims have broken the lockdown. And not only that, unfortunately, if the spread of the virus goes up again, we have a second wave, who will the government blame? Because remember, the government needs someone to blame, right? And if the Muslims have been all out, they will very easily, Muslims will become a very easy scapegoat. So let's not do that. Let's not give people an excuse to blame us. And remember, Islam is very clear. I mean, as one of our companions, Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, he applied social distancing during the battles in the Byzantine Empire. And as a result of that, the deaths of the Sahaba went down. Remember, up to over 25,000 people passed away. But after he applied that social distancing, where they had to walk separately and that encamp separately, the number of deaths went down. That was noticed. So this is important, okay? So Ustad Hilal has said, Ambala has just opened up, by the way. Made my Eid, Mufti Hilal. I'm saying this on your behalf. This is not encouragement to go Ambala.
Social
Interesting. So what could we do in that case, Mufti Hilal? Do they do deliveries? Are they on Uber Eats?
I don't think so. This is opportunity right
there. So maybe are they applying social distancing in the shop? Because you can go shopping, can't you? But it is for only your necessity. Would we consider Ambala as necessity, Mufti Hilal? You're the Mufti here. You need to.
I have to admit, I did go the other day. It was empty.
Oh, alhamdulillah. So you were okay. Otherwise, you would have. Zahra has just mentioned bucket method, Ustad Hamid. Right. So I won't go into the bucket method today, because maybe some of my teachers might be listening to this, and then we might get told off and be called into the office after lockdown to punish us for what we did 15 years ago. So we don't want to go anywhere near that. That is the ping for Asr prayer.
Oh.
So Asr Salah timing, I think, has started now. And that signals, unfortunately for us, the end of this lesson, inshallah. So, Jazakallah Mufti Hilal. I think I did this about 15 minutes ago. Jazakallah Mufti Hilal and Jazakallah everyone. And let's end it here forever. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. One more thing, Mufti Hilal. Oh, that was a joke. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Or is Ustada Maryam on here? No, she said that there was a guy. Oh, actually, let's stop it here. Assalamu alaikum.